Good afternoon. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I am your host, Jasmine Urbina, here in the studio today with my dad and co-host Alex Urbina, as well as Carl Goldman, station owner. Today...
So I'm going to interrupt
Okay,
this.
go ahead.
I'm going to have you lose your beat here a little bit, okay?
Go ahead.
And we'll see if I can assist in getting some tears in your eyes. For those who don't know, Jasmine has worked with us here at KHTS and been part of our family for many, many years. And now you've decided to move on to bigger and better things. I wouldn't say better, maybe bigger things, but move on, and you're really pursuing a career in real estate and going back to school, and we are so proud of you. And it's great to know, and I wanted to come in here and acknowledge you because you're going to still be doing this show, and this show is something very, very special to us, and I know it is to you, and we are just really, really proud of you and know we're going to see incredible things happening.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's so good to know that you'll be here every Friday still so we can come and give you a hard time.
That's the plan.
So anyway, I just want to, again, acknowledge you, and you share so much on this show, and you've shared so much over the years with us and assisted in so many ways with making KHTS what it is today. And so we're very, very thankful and blessed to have known you.
Thank you.
And still know you. Get to know you as we move on. Best of luck.
Thank you so much, Carl.
Thanks. You take care, Jazz.
Thank you, Carl. So today, if you're just joining us, we're talking about moving on. And the reason why is because, if you didn't know, Jasmine has been working here at the radio station since she was 15 years old. She's now 22 years old. So this is the only job that you know. And this is, for most people, when they work for a company, they get to know the team and they open up and share and connect and bond. And I'm sure this is going to be, a very challenging day for you to, to really be in the moment, be present, and reminisce and remember all the great memories you've had here. And I'm sure that's got to be something challenging to do. But I want to open up the show and have it be a discussion about moving on, because I think as young people, we aren't taught how to move on. And I know as a kid growing up and going from job to job with the intention of try to figure out who I am and what my purpose is and all those, great things. No one really sat me down and taught me how to move on and really make sense of it. So I thought it'd be a great discussion to have today. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
And also we have, so if you're just joining us, Carl Goldman from the station came in and just acknowledged you, and I thought that was very sweet. We also have a phone call. We have a caller on the line. Caller, state your name.
Hi, this is Yvette Urbina.
Hi, Mom.
I just also wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate Jasmine on moving on to what's next in her life. I am extremely proud of you and the work and dedication that you have committed to growing in your self-development as well as your career. And I'm excited to see you grow and be a successful real estate agent in the SCV area and our surrounding community. So congratulations on your what's next, and I'm extremely proud of you, and I love you and wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you. So what does it mean to be here in this moment where you make a choice to transition on to the next level for you, and whatever that entails on your journey?
Well, for me, I feel like where a lot of, like at least right now, where a lot of the emotion stems from is, like you said, all the memories and you spend so much time at some place, and eventually you create a family. You create something that you love and that you care about. So it is really hard it's very challenging to move on. But I think really in the grand scheme of things, when I look at it, the most challenging part was just being open to any type of change at all. And I think going back to what you said earlier about for young people, we're not taught how to move on because we get so comfortable where we are that there it's almost like there is nothing else. It's because we're okay, we're content. And part of this show and part of the reason why I keep plugging in and connecting to you know, people like this, like-minded people, so that I could be reminded that I don't want to be content. I want to be, extraordinary. And it's very scary. But I'm really grateful to have such a supportive team. And, even here at KHTS, it's very, very hard to move on when you have something already, so good and so loving and such a solid, base and foundation where, like Carl said, I don't know if there is better, it might just be bigger, but I have to at least try.
Absolutely. And I just want you to know how excited I am for you. And one of the things that I've been learning about leadership and developing other leaders is that at a certain point, you got to nudge them out of wherever their comfort zone is. And I've especially learned this as a father, realizing that at a certain point, you got to keep nudging your kids to develop their own wings so that one day they can fly away. And you got to be willing to surrender it and let them go, because their journey is an ongoing process. And we're doing a disservice to our kids if we're not creating even the conversation of, hey, when are you headed to whatever's next for yourself? And so as much as we love working with our teammates and as much as we celebrate each other or build each other up and create these powerful leaders, part of the process is surrendering and letting them go and fanning that flame for them so that they can take off and go on. So your job now is to remember that you have solid wings that can carry your flight. You just got to now just leap. And so I'm excited for your leap, as scary as it might be, right?
Yeah, and again, going back to what I said, I think the part that's challenging for us as millennials or kids, or I can see. I could see how your teenager or your young adult having, a nice solid job and wanting to jump in and go into something else that might not be as steady or might not be as reliable can be, scary for you guys as a parent. So I've seen that fear come out for you guys, and it's a little bit challenging because I have my own fears. And when parents are, and we've talked about this before, when parents are projecting their fears unintentionally, usually, it still plays a really big role where it might even discourage us in general to not want to jump.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick about the comfort zone. So you've learned a lot of distinctions since you've been growing up in my home, as well as, under the teachings and the guidance of my own development and conscious journey. And you've been in many training rooms and have been on your own journey of growth. And you've really understand the distinction of the comfort zone and how it can limit you. Instead of me describing it or explaining it, what are you realizing about the comfort zone, and what could you share from your insight towards other parents as well as young people that might be in that fear and not wanting to kind of embrace the courage and take some jumps for themselves?
I think the most interesting thing about the comfort zone is that everything in it is stuff that we know. Everything in it is something that I already know or have experienced or have an idea about.
It's familiar.
Yes, and it's comfortable. There are so many things, unlimited amount of things that are outside of that comfort zone that I probably will never touch in my life. But when I think about turning back, or when I think about getting scared or not taking that leap, I think about if I were to push my comfort zone just a little bit, there could be something right there, it's kind of like that. I don't know if anyone has ever seen that picture that floats around on social media, but it's a picture of someone who's mining, and they look like they're tired and they're about to give up, and the next person comes and they mine in the same spot and there's a diamond. And I feel like every time I push my comfort zone, I might be giving up on that diamond if I stop. So for me, even though everything is so easy and so comfortable inside of that comfort zone, I can only ignore the call for the diamond for so long. And I think that's kind of what we do, where unless something is, lit under you that says, okay, I need to figure something out or do something different, then that's the only time that we decide, okay, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. And how often does that happen? I mean, we stay in our comfort zone for years before something like that could happen. So I try to make my own, I try to at least be in the question of, okay, how close is that diamond? Or how close are you before you're going to give up and be kind of stuck here swimming around in your comfort zone when the next best thing is just one decision away.
And so sounds like you found your own motivation to light a fire underneath you to force you outside of your comfort zone, so to speak, rather than deciding that you're just going to reside in there and kind of nudge yourself a little bit at a time. I want to talk a little bit about my understanding about moving on and growing. I've realized that the universe is always evolving. It's forever growing and it's forever moving on to what's next, whether I like it or not. If I don't want to move on, that's my choice. However, the world and the planet and society is growing and moving on and getting outside of their comfort zone with or without me. And what I don't want to be, just like you found your motivation, I found my motivation. What I don't want to be is stuck somewhere looking around, watching other people and society has advanced and has left me behind. To me, that's what death is. To me, that's where I would sit there and look and have all the resentment of not catching up or keeping in pace with the world, because the world is a forever evolving entity. And so I think when we teach that to our kids and we remind them that change is part of the process and getting out of your comfort zone is part of the process and moving on and transitioning into what's next, as though what's next is a place for you to jump to, like a platform to leap from where I'm at to where I want to be. And like a leapfrog, you have to constantly be leapfrogging when the time feels right. And obviously you got to listen to your own gut feeling, your own intuition. And I'm sure for you, there were some things that your intuition or your spirit was telling you in regards to this. And I don't know if it's been happening for a couple years or 6 months or however long that process is, but I love that you decided that I can't keep ignoring this, and that you finally listened to that and decided it's time for me to transition on to whatever's next, even if I don't know what next looks like, but I'm willing to discover an unlimited world of possibilities that are out there that I might not even know what it is.
Yeah, and I want to touch a little bit on the idea that you were talking about changes. What's interesting is, for me personally, I love change when I'm in control of it. I love if I
when you've already figured out what the lily pad looks like when you jump into it, right? Yeah.
I love it when I have control over the things that are going to change. Cutting my hair, rearranging my furniture, changing my schedule, whatever that looks like. I love adding change. I hate, and just like everybody else, when change is brought upon me. So a little part of me too that stems from I guess the motivation or the moving on or pushing through your comfort zone is that at least this way I have a little bit of control over it versus change creeping up on me and forcing itself on me in any scenarios in my life. And I think that the difference between people stretching their comfort zone and not, because you can change and still stay in your comfort zone, just your surroundings change. Or you can change and stretch your comfort zone with it and continue to grow. Like you said, if the universe is growing, if everyone around me is growing and I'm staying the same, you said that's death, and for me it's not living, it's just existing there. You're going on with emotions and you're you're living life, but you're not necessarily, going for the next thing or living for something.
And this is where I think when people say that life, some people that say life feels like just one big grind. It's probably one big grind because you're grinding out, like I visualize the skater who jumps his skateboard on to a rail and he grinds out this long, just boring ride that they're taking down. It's a grind. And so you're grinding inside of your comfort zone. And for whatever reason, you either haven't been taught or haven't realized, or no one has painted a picture for you that life exists outside of your comfort zone. If you're going to create extraordinary results, you have to learn how to operate outside your comfort zone to the point that it becomes second nature, almost like breathing. And I'm so excited for you when you say, I'm used to getting out of my comfort zone, but I've already pre-planned how I think it's going to look, and I've prepared, I'm mentally prepared, but I don't know what it looks like when life throws these challenges at me where I get nudged out, so to speak, forced, not knowing what it looks like. But I'm here to tell you that that's where the juice is. That's where actually extraordinary happens, is when you don't know and you're outside of your comfort zone on the skinny branch of life, not knowing where's the net. Is there a net below me or not? What happens is it forces you to figure out how to reinvent yourself. And for those entrepreneurs that know what I'm talking about, they're probably sitting in their car listening and they're nodding their head going, that's absolutely true. Every time I've taken a leap of faith and jumped blindfolded out of my comfort zone, it forced me to figure out how to flap those wings and fly to the next plateau or the next level. And so I'm really excited for your growth. I'm excited that this became an opportunity to talk about this, because there's other parents that are out there that, are struggling with figuring out how to wrap their mind around letting their kids go, or you got some kids that are
Or even inspiring them to take that leap if
that's
they
right.
see it.
Because some parents are sitting there, sending their kids off to college this year. Their kids are going to be graduating from high school, and they're going to, have to face that day where their kid goes off to college. And so it's a process that not only as young adults, we got to figure out how to accept and embrace change and moving on. But as parents, we got to figure out and realize that's part of life. It's part of the process. And sometimes as parents, we get blindsided and we don't remember the journey we went through, where we had to flap those wings and leave the nest. We had to fly from one nest out into the real world and find our own place to make our own nest and call that home.
Yeah, and I think especially right now with millennials kind of growing up, they're facing, I think, more challenges than they are used to. I don't know if it was because we were babied or because the world is changing, but there's a lot of things that we just are not ready for. And that's coming out of high school, coming out of college, etc. And your parents being there for you and being your support system and your base are really the only things that keep us afloat. Because if not, we would drown. We would legitimately be homeless working for $12 an hour. There's no way to get. Personally, I think there's no way really to get by, or at least to start on a successful journey without having your parents or some type of base or foundation to support you until you can get there. That's just based off of the way us millennials, think and our mindset is. And even though that's not true, people fly all the time on their own and they make it out, but it's so much harder, and it just makes me, that much more grateful to have parents that are supportive in that way, where they say, okay, I don't care if you try 50,000 new things, as long as you're trying something new, or as long as you're not getting stuck, or as long as you're not content with just having an average life, as long as you're trying. And I think a lot of people don't have that support, and I just wanted to say thank you, that I'm very grateful.
You're welcome. And in case people don't know what you're talking about, when you and your sister and your brother were transitioning into young adulthood, your mom and I made a pact that we were going to support you guys only under one condition. And the one condition is that as long as you're not content with where you're at and that you're constantly showing us that you're chasing whatever your passions are, or you're trying new things, and you're being a warrior out in life that's taking risks. Our home is your home, and we'll celebrate and support every part of that growth, as long as you're digging down deep and accessing that courageous warrior that's within you. And so I think, you're at that moment where you're, out on the skinny branch, and you're saying, all right, Mom, all right, Dad, I'm ready to take that leap. I don't know what that looks like. It's scary, but I'm willing to go for it. And your mom and I are so proud of you, and we're so excited. And we're your safety net. We're there. One of the greatest things I ever got was one time I was in my mid-30s, and I think I got laid off for the very first time. And we had your brother. He was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I never forget one time I was feeling a little bit down and depressed because I had never been laid off before. Up until that point, I'd been a hard worker and always was able to support my family. And one day, my aunt called, and I was talking to her, and she said something that changed my life. And she said to me, she said, as long as you're alive, I will always have your back, and you'll always have a place to live. You will never sleep out, in your car, and your family always have a warm place and a warm meal. And that lit something inside of me. It lit a fire inside of me to say, wow, if someone was something like that to back me up, I can take on the world. And it was just an incredible thing that she said to me. And I don't know if I've ever thanked her for it, but believe me, after this show, I'm going to call her and thank her for saying that to me. And so that resided with me, and I wanted to be able to say that to my kids, that you always will have a place to call home, and I'll always back you, knowing and trusting that you guys, that you won't settle for that at some certain point after you pick yourself up and stop feeling sorry for yourself and get, empowered again, that you'll be out there again chasing whatever dream you have. And I want you guys to know that we mean that forever. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And, I think that having a support or a safety net or backup or whatever, it's not that it's something that you necessarily rely on. It's one, knowing that somebody believes in you enough, and two, having that worry gone, like off your chest, like knowing you're not going to sleep outside, in your car or your family, So I think really what it comes down to is, even if you have no intention of really helping someone out in that way, I think being able to express something like that is such a gift, to just say, hey, don't worry about it. If it comes to that, we got this. We'll handle
figure it out.
Yeah. So
and so I want to add a precursor to that, and it's a clause. Just because I said that I got your back and there's a safety net, I'm also not an enabler either. And so I won't allow you to sit in there too long, just sitting back and relying on our support to give you a way out of not being courageous and not taking yourself to the next level. So I want people that are listening to realize there's a distinction between enabling and being that safety net to enable your kids from not finding that courage and taking those risks. And there's a little bit of a dance. So you got to learn how to dance with it too.
Yeah, and there's, for us on our side, as much as we want, every day, if you're going to just hand us money and food and a place to live and clothes and everything, of course we're going to want to stay there. But I think, there's another part of us that wants our parents just to support, and that's it. We, another part of us that doesn't want to be, fed still at 30 years old. We want some type of drive. But of course, we're never going to admit that. It's just easier to get what we can.
Right. All right. Stay tuned for more of the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Don and Gino here. So we know you want to have fun learning about real estate and finance. You're going to want to tune in this Saturday, 9 a.m. to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here on your hometown station. Hot topics, as always, guiding you to personal and financial wellness. And that's right, you don't want to miss it. So again, this Saturday, 9 a.m., and then we replay it online Sunday, 9 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. right here on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. Join us.
We'd like to thank our advertisers and readers for their loyal support since 1991.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, Elite and the Magazine of Santa Clarita.
The only magazine in our valley mailed to 80,000 homes and businesses every month, with over 250 pages of community news and features.
Discover how the Magazine of Santa Clarita can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
All-Star Sports Grills is the best place in town to catch a Dodger game on one of their 17 screens and choose a cold one from 23 different tap beers. All-Star Sports Grills prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order menu, including half-pound Angus burgers. Enjoy an all-star comedy show the fourth Wednesday of the month. All-Star Sports has a pet-friendly and smoking patio. All-Star Sports Grills on Bouquet Canyon, north of Plum Canyon.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jasmine Urbina, with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. And today we're talking about moving on. Specifically, we're kind of going over my transition, moving on to some newer things. And if you want to go back, you can hear me cry in our podcast.
Well, there might be more crying, still left in the show. But, I do want to reference and make sure that you realize that when you say you're leaving or transitioning or moving on to what's next, it's not from the radio show. You actually have been working here at KHTS as a business at the radio station since you were 16 years old. And so what we're talking about is, your transition into what's next for your career. And we've been talking about how really excited we are for you. We actually have a caller on the line. Caller, are you there?
I'm here.
Who am I speaking to?
This is Sharon Brubaker.
How are you, Sharon? Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Jasmine. Hi.
What'd you want to share?
I wanted to share how, number one, Alex, I just want to commend you and your wife Yvette. What amazing parents you are. What a guiding light you are to everybody around the world. Really, it's just so exciting. But Jasmine, I wanted to talk to you about just the joy you give me every time I see you in there. But I really wanted to talk to you about completing your relationship with the radio station. I wanted to kind of give you a couple tips. Are you open for that?
Of course.
I just want to let you know that I work with grievers around the world and people that are left without that ability to incomplete and not get complete with the relationship. And you've had a relationship with the radio since you were 16 years old, and most importantly with all of your work friends, your work colleagues, your work and fellow employees, and you build a relationship with them since day one, since the day you walked in there. And a lot of times what happens with people when they do transition, it can cause a grieving experience. So I just wanted to tell you that love is the product of truthful communication, and that you owe it to yourself to really complete your relationships in real time and just literally make sure you have a conversation with each and every person there, especially if there's anything that was left unsaid or undone. You want to make sure you get a chance to have those conversations before you walk out the door. And I'm just so honored to be here and tell you that, because you're just such an amazing young woman, and you are such a shining light.
Thank you, Sharon. That really means a lot to me. I'm obviously going through an emotional process of, like you said, I guess it's really has been hitting me just today that I am completing, and I don't want to have that talk and say, goodbyes to everybody. But I can see how doing so is going to, I guess, complete it. So it doesn't feel open, or it doesn't feel like, it's weighing on me.
I think what Sharon is referring to is that, a lot of times when we use the word complete, some people think it's the end, and I don't think she's referring that. But I love the word complete, because complete also implies that there might be some miscommunication or unresolved communication, or something that you haven't maybe had the courage to say, hey, I appreciate you, or it was such an honor to even work side by side with you. So all those things that we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable in day-to-day operations, here's your opportunity to allow yourself to be vulnerable and really acknowledge the people that have been there for you. And it doesn't have to be a goodbye. It could be a see you later, right, Sharon?
Absolutely. And your dad and I fight about this all the time, about the word closure. And you're not closing the relationship with them. It's not that you're never going to see them. You're completing your relationship with them from the time you were 16 and your first job. And, Jerry and Carl have been amazing bosses, I can only imagine. And so you're completing this section in your life, this area in your life. And so you want to make sure you get the chance to say everything that you need to say to them before you walk out the door, especially if there's anybody you need to apologize to, when you need to forgive for anything. You want to make sure you have that conversation before you leave. So it's just not unsaid and you don't take it incomplete into another area in your life.
Yes, beautiful insight. Thank you so much, Sharon, for calling in. We appreciate you. That's Sharon Brubaker. She's a certified grief recovery specialist. Jess, she brought up a great point about completing relationships. And part of the moving on, a lot of times we don't talk about it, but when we move on, let's seize the moment on the last week or the last day to really operate from a place of gratitude and be grateful for the ups and downs that we did have with my team and my fellow coworkers, and really just take that moment, seize the opportunity to share your gratitude with them, and send them blessings, and they can send you with blessings, and wish each other good luck. And I mean, that's part of the process. That's the beauty of that transition.
Yeah, and I can again see I guess looking back, I have so many more good memories than bad. That is what's making this so hard. When people quit jobs, it's easy. They say
when you hate a place, it's
yeah,
easy to
it's
just
easy.
go, I'm out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I've been here for I've known everybody here for so many years that it's really emotional, and it's really challenging to even imagine not seeing them every day.
Yeah.
So, but again, I do know that I'm still gonna see them, and I'm gonna be here doing this show on Fridays, and it's not a goodbye. It's just like Sharon said, I am completing that relationship, though, the one that originally started back when I was a kid, and being their coworkers, it's not going to be the same. Now we just get to be friends.
That's right. What are some of the things that you learned? What are some of the takeaways as you move on to what's next, to try to wrap up and make sense of and, put into perspective as you, look at those gratitude seeds that you could leave behind? What are some of the, because you said it's almost like you grew up here, really. It's like some of us find that summer job when we're 15 or 16 years old, and all of a sudden, because I think they meaning Carl and Jerry, saw, such a young leader inside you and huge potential for you to discover your own voice and really just evolve as a human being. It's like, I remember them being excited when, you were here and they're trying to figure out how to keep you here, and they did a pretty good job at keeping you here for so many years. What's the takeaway? What are you going to walk away with? The biggest learning experience you had here?
I guess the thing that's been resonated with me the last couple of weeks is like you said, that I grew up here, so such a big part of me is the people who work here, and especially Carl and Jerry, who they're really like my home away from home, and parts of the parts of me that developed after 15 years old were the parts that that Carl and Jerry raised, that they planted those seeds, and they watered it, and they nourished me, to grow into who I am today. So one of the biggest things for me that I have been so emotional about lately is kind of feeling like, these two people that have been in my life, almost like my, mom and dad aren't going to be there for me, every second of every day, and they're not going to be there to fall back on. And, it's almost like moving out of the house, and it's
Yeah.
almost like,
Right.
it's almost like, moving on and getting married and starting your own family and feeling like this family's having fun without you.
Right,
and this
right.
family's continuing.
Hey, what's coming up this week? I might pop in for the next birthday party or whatever. I kind of look at, the relationship that you had here at the station with Carl and Jerry. For me, it's almost like having like their aunt and uncle. And you get a chance to go from our home to aunt and uncle's house and vent, right? You had an open, loving space where you can vent about your mom and dad and complain and be the ultimate victim. And I'm sure there were many times where Jerry was there and supported you, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy knowing that Jerry was there, being a great advocate for you and helping you make sense of that, and also planting some of the seeds to help support us and raising you. And then there's other times where they were there to support you and believe in you or challenge you. And I'm sure you guys had your ups and downs, but that's what families do. Families fight for each other. Families, get in there with each other and challenge each other. And I'm sure they're going to be really excited to see what you got in store for you. And I know that when you take off and the things that you're going to create in your life that are extraordinary, they're going to be very proud of you, and they're going to know, man, she's one of us. She came from our home. She had all of her foundation and she built all of that solid here at KHTS, and that they're going to be very proud of you.
Yeah, and like, even that analogy of saying it's like, kind of running away to aunt and uncle's house, and it's even better because I've got all my cousins here that I get
exactly
to hang out with.
Let me go talk to cousin Lori and chat a little bit. Okay, we got another caller. Let's hear from the caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Miranda Cunha.
Hi, Miranda. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome. I just wanted to congratulate Jasmine. I just wanted to tell her what I think she's such an amazing person, and I want to tell her to not be afraid, to go forward and let the memories of all the comfort be your foundation of strength for the future, sort of like what a hummingbird goes to for the nectar. Don't be afraid of the future. Embrace it. And these wonderful memories will be your strength, your spine to get you through things. And also, don't be afraid to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's the key to success. And never give up. Just keep on. They say a winner is someone who never gives up. And don't be afraid. Become fearless. And your memories will be your friend. And all that you're experiencing right now is just really awesome, because you have a beautiful foundation. And that's going to be a gift you can take with you to the future and share that with others and give it to others who don't have it, to the other hummingbirds who have an empty feeder. So you're being filled with all these blessings that you deserve, but you'll be able to share it with others, so don't be afraid. And if things get difficult, embrace it. Just go forward and be strong like you are, but don't be afraid. Your memories will give you comfort and courage, not torture you. And I just want to say what a beautiful person you are. And I'm going to be one of your first real estate customers, because I need to buy a house here.
Thank you, Miranda.
Welcome.
Even, going through this journey, I've run into you a couple times out in the community, and you definitely have a light that, you're kind of the person that people look at you and they say, oh, okay, she dances to her own beat, you can tell. And,
Thank you.
It's so inspiring to me to see you out there in the community constantly, putting yourself out there. And,
you know what? Thank you for that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your kind words. It means a lot to me to know that there's people out there that I interact with that, have an experience of me that, that's good, that's positive.
You're very positive, and you're an awesome lady. And I think whatever you do, you're going to be fantastic and successful with it, because you bring that good energy with you, and just never give up. And now I'm doing very well with my career. I have 7 films I'm doing that I'm featured in. So I got used to being uncomfortable in life, and reading Psalm 91 every day has been my best friend. And it's really gotten me through a lot. And so I'm going to buy a house from you, so you're going to be hearing from me. And much love to you, and big hugs and lots of blessings. And you go, girl.
Thank you so much,
Miranda.
Miranda. Appreciate you calling in. So you got some love from the community, that people are wishing you well, and that's got to feel great.
Yeah, I kind of, you go through, or at least for me, I go through every day, and you wake up, you do the same thing, and I guess it's really hitting me now that people have experiences of you when you go out in the world. Like, I would have never expected Miranda to call right now, but I do know that when I go out and I see her in the community, we do have you just have a connection with people naturally that, and I'm so grateful for, and that's one of the things that about this job is I'm constantly plugged into the community, and I get to see all these people, and I have my favorites that come up to the booth, and that I take pictures with and go, we have fun and catch up with each other. But so it just reminds me it's another memory that I'm gonna miss, having.
I think one of the greatest qualities you have that really attracts people to you and people are drawn to you is your authenticity and your ability to be vulnerable. People trust you because you allow yourself just to be who you are, feel your feelings in the moment, and not worry about what people are thinking about you. And when you're able to share yourself like that, or experience your experiences so authentically like that in the world, people know that you're not hiding anything. You're not shady. They know that there's goodness in you, and that once you reveal that side and let people in, I think that's going to be your greatest asset, especially in real estate. Because, people, when they're spending their hard-earned money on an investment that they're going to do, they're going to take advantage of for probably their whole life, they want to know that somebody is really going to go the distance for them and really cares about them in the long run, and not about the sale or not about the money. And so I think that you're going to have an incredible journey in the real estate market and being a realtor, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Me too. We did take a quick break, but stay tuned for more of the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook, or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
The city of Santa Clarita has so much going on this year. Be on the lookout for amazing events happening throughout the year, including the Cowboy Festival, concerts in the park, Thursdays at New Hall, and the Santa Clarita Marathon. There are also a number of fun activities and things to do year-round, including outdoor recreation, hiking and bike trails, adult classes, art exhibits, youth sports programs, and more. You can even sign up to be a volunteer. Learn more at santa-clarita.com.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inspirational Parent right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jasmine Urbina, here in the studio today with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. And today we are talking about moving on. Very specifically, we're talking about transitioning and taking some leaps.
Yeah, and what I was talking about in the early parts of the show was just reminding, people, whether you're a parent or a young adult or even a high school kid transitioning out into your life, that moving on and growth and getting outside of your comfort zone is part of the process called life. Like the universe is always evolving. It's always moving forward. If you think about it, we go from season to season, right? Like we don't just have one season. We transition from one season to the next. It's constantly evolving. And so are we if we choose to. We can also choose to not evolve. We could stay limited and playing small and inside of our comfort zone, never really challenging our next level of possibility or giving ourselves permission to try new things or having the audacity to say, this is exactly what I'm going to do in my life and challenge the universe and all the naysayers and all the doubters. So it's really, I think the journey of life is to figure out how to empower ourselves and force ourselves out of our comfort zone, so we're constantly taking on new challenges. And that's one of the things that you're doing now at 22 years old. And it's got to be a little bit of nervous and exciting and fear all together. It's all wrapped up like one big, huge bundle of
it's like one big just ball of emotions. That I've been joking the last couple of days that I know that I'm going to wake up on Monday morning and not have to go to, be somewhere.
Report to something that you've committed to,
and
right?
I'm going to be, both happy and sad at the same time. And when I say happy, I really mean excited, because I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to do, that I'm so excited, like my knees shaking. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you're doing what you're doing and it's inside your comfort zone at a certain point, whether it's a year, 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, you get to a point where you're like, all right, there's no way I'm going to take on my next level continuing to do what I'm doing. And some people can afford to be able to make the blind leap jump, to be able to be outside of that environment, to light a new fire inside of them, to be able to force them to now start working on what they say they're committed to. Some people can't do that. Some fathers and mothers have to kind of support their family, and they can't make that jump. So they have to figure out how to get outside their comfort zone after hours. When I get home, I got now 3 hours to get outside my comfort zone and start figuring out how to get that next level of whatever I want to do, whether it's start my own business but some of us, we can do that. But when you get an opportunity where you have a support and you're able to do that, as a coach, I'm encouraging that all day long to my clients. I'm like, if you can jump, because by forcing yourself outside, there's a whole new level of you to reinvent yourself outside of what you've been currently doing. Because I'm sure you can attest to this. Finding an excuse to not do those things that you really want and what you're dreaming of inside of doing what you're currently doing is very challenging, is it not? You can find reasons and excuses not to force yourself to do those extra things at night when you come home.
Yeah, and I definitely think that one of my biggest, I guess I would say flaws, is that I get distracted very easily and I get comfortable, and those two things do not go well together.
Right.
So I fall into the things that are familiar, just like everybody else. But then on top of that, I get distracted by shiny objects that steer me even further away from my goals. So one of my New Year's resolutions was to stop getting so distracted. And when I say distracted, I'm not literally talking about a butterfly, flying right past me. I'm talking about opportunities. Sometimes I don't want to pass up opportunities, and I take them even when they're not the right opportunity for me. And
I do it too. I'm 46 and I call them distractions also, but you got to understand that some of the distractions that I get enticed with, and I'm sure you get them too, is that I want to help other people too sometimes, or I want to be a part of other people's process and progress. But sometimes even saying yes to those, they add up. If I say yes to 4 of those this week, there's 4 more things that took me away from really diving to my next level in the one thing that I love and I'm passionate about and that's purposeful in my life. So I think your next challenge is going to be for you to start saying, thank you, but no. And you're going to have to start passing on some of those, including stuff that I'm asking you to be a part of, or people that are close to you and they start asking you to do certain things. You're going to have to now be a little picky and choosy, which is what I want to talk about probably next week. I know you're not going to be here, but or maybe I'll wait for you to come back. But I really want to talk about people that that are givers and contributors, and they help a lot of other people, but they're not helping themselves. And one distinction I really learned a while back was that there's nothing profound about you being a savior and a helper and a contributor and helping all these other people if you're not helping yourself win. If you're still suffering and you're still falling short in what you're up to and your game isn't winning, there's nothing profound about that. So we'll talk about that at a later show. But I'm so glad that you decided to make you a priority and really kind of zero in and dial in what you say you want most.
Yeah.
Which is what, by the way?
Well, the thing that's taking up a lot of my time right now and my big commitment is finishing school. After dropping out and kind of wondering and wanting to go back, I finally decided that it was time, and I'm able to transfer in half the time. And everything it seemed so perfect. It was a lot of hard work, but it still seemed to work out so perfectly. So now I'm so committed that I really genuinely had to drop some things in my life that I love, and that includes, saying no to some of the things that I enjoy doing with you or with my family and out in the community. And it's been very challenging to say thank you, but no, to do homework, So, but again, school is a big commitment of mine right now, and furthering and I think right now, my career in real estate is so young. It's literally a baby that I just want to, nurture it and grow it. And I'm really confident that I'm going to figure it out. It's going to be very challenging, but I know I'm going to figure it out. And so those are my two commitments. And we'll see in a couple of months where I'm at. And like I said, I will always be here every Friday. So you guys, it's not goodbye for you guys. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for everyone who called. Thank you, Dad, and Carl and Jerry, and especially Carl. I want to thank you for all those kind words and everything that you guys have done for me. But everyone here, especially the staff at KHTS, you guys will always hold a very, very, very special place in my heart, especially my soul sister, Lori. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. right here on your hometown station, KHTS.